Few Hollywood pairings have sparked more curiosity than Elvis Presley and Ann-Margret in Viva Las Vegas. He was the biggest music star in America. She was the fiery young performer, so electric, some people called her the female Elvis. And the moment they shared the screen, it felt like something bigger than movie chemistry. Their smiles, their dancing, and the way they seemed to move to the same rhythm gave the film a charge that audiences could feel instantly. But the real fascination has always been what happened when the cameras were not rolling. Over the years, the story that emerged was not about a flirtation on a film set, but about a bond that stayed with both of them long after the movie ended. And right up front, tell us in the comments whether you think Elvis and Ann-Margret were a brief Hollywood romance or the real love story that never had a fair chance. Because tonight we're looking at the truth behind Ann-Margret and Elvis. Same spark.
If I get caught courting, I got to take my license away.
But you said you wanted to dance.
Yeah, but not here.
Are you going to chicken out?
Yeah, I'm gonna check it out. We'll cut out of here. Look, I got a plan.
On one condition. Now, the kids here have been expecting you to do something, so if you don't want to dance, sing. I know you can do that.
By the time Viva Las Vegas went into production, both stars had already carried larger-than-life images. Elvis was the king of rock and roll, a box office draw, and a national obsession. Ann-Margret was fast-rising, glamorous, and impossible to ignore. She was not overwhelmed when she met him, and that helped set the tone. According to her own account, they clicked almost immediately. They even greeted each other with the same words, a tiny moment that seemed to hint at how naturally they connected. What made the connection stand out was how similar they seemed in spirit. They came from modest backgrounds, understood what it meant to be watched constantly, and shared an instinctive relationship with music and movement that did not need much explanation. That's part of why their scenes feel so alive even now. This was not just studio polish, there was a real current between them, and it made the film feel less like a routine musical and more like two people trying not to show the audience everything. Behind the cameras.
Our relationship was very strong and very serious and very real. We went together for 1 year, and he trusted me, and I do not want to betray his trust even in death.
Off-screen, the relationship reportedly became real very quickly. Ann-Margret later wrote she fell for Elvis during the making of the film, and her later comments made clear she did not see it as a passing crush or a publicity invention. She described their connection as strong, serious, and real. That matters because so many of old Hollywood stories get flattened into gossip. In this case, the way she spoke about him suggested real feeling, not just excitement from being young and famous. There was also an obvious complication. Elvis was already involved with Priscilla, and everyone around him knew that relationship mattered. That turned what might have been a simple romance into a painful triangle that none of them could handle cleanly. Ann-Margret later described the relationship as hot and cold, which tells you a lot. One moment there was passion and closeness, and the next there was distance, silence, and confusion. For all their chemistry, it was never stable ground. Why it ended.
It was unreal. It was just unreal. But I remember...
It's still hard for you.
Because I'm real private. And he was too.
One of the most repeated stories is that things began to unravel when Elvis believed Ann-Margret had sold a story to tabloids claiming the two were getting married. Whether that rumor was deliberate, reckless, or just part of the frenzy around them, it caused damage. That kind of story would have hit Elvis where he was most guarded. He lived in a world where private life was always threatening to become public spectacle. Trust mattered, and once it cracked, the romance was unlikely to survive. There was also the simple reality that Elvis was not prepared to fully break from the life he already had. Whatever he felt for Ann-Margret, he did not build a future around her. That left her in the painful position of loving someone who would not truly choose her. Even so, this was not a clean break, with bitterness on both sides. The romance ended, but the attachment did not. That may be part of why the story still lingers. It was not explosive enough to become scandal forever, but it was too real to disappear. Tension on set.
Can we help you? Yes, ma'am.
Well, then I'd like you to check my motor. It whistles.
I don't blame it.
What did you say?
The irony is that even while they were falling for each other, there were reports of tension during production. Director George Sidney claimed Elvis did not want Ann-Margret getting too many close-ups or musical moments because he wanted the spotlight centered on himself. If that story is fair, it adds another layer to the whole affair. Elvis may have been drawn to Ann-Margret personally, but professionally, he could also see that she was just not keeping up with him. In some scenes, she was stealing attention. That would explain why the movie feels like such a true two-hander. Ann-Margret was not just the girl in the picture. She was a genuine presence, and audiences responded to that. She danced hard, sang hard, and matched Elvis in a way few co-stars did. There's even a long circulated story that the split-screen ending came from efforts to manage that balance. Whether every detail has been exaggerated over time or not, the larger point remains clear. Their chemistry thrilled audiences, but it also created tension behind the scenes. What stayed with them?
He was so gifted, and it makes me extremely angry that all of a sudden all these people who made fun of him right near his death, all of a sudden, posthumously, right after he passed on, were writing reams and reams of stories on him, how gifted he was. Why didn't they do that when he was alive?
So they could have saved his life.
You understand?
Yeah.
Okay.
One of the most revealing parts of this story is that they remained close after the romance ended. Ann-Margret spoke warmly about him decades later, and she consistently described Viva Las Vegas as one of the happiest times of her life. Elvis also kept showing signs that he cared. He attended her Las Vegas debut and sent flowers for her openings. Those gestures may sound old-fashioned now, but in Hollywood, they meant something. They suggested remembrance, loyalty, and unfinished feeling. When asked about him years later, Ann-Margret was careful. She did not turn their relationship into a circus. In one of her most direct remarks, she said, quote, "Our relationship was very strong and very serious and very real. We were together for 1 year, and I don't want to betray his trust, even in death." That may be the clearest truth of all. She never treated Elvis like a trophy memory. She spoke of him as someone she protected even after he was gone. Whatever label people put on the affair, it plainly left a deep impression that neither fame nor time erased. The scene they left behind.
She loves me.
Would you like to make a bet?
I said the lady loves me.
Part of what keeps the story alive is that Viva Las Vegas itself preserves the evidence. You can watch them sing, dance, tease, and lock into each other's timing with a natural ease that no publicity department could manufacture. A deleted duet only adds to the legend. In that sequence, the closeness between them almost feels too personal for a standard musical number. It's playful, tender, and loose in a way that makes viewers feel like they're seeing more than performance. Ann-Margret once explained that they felt music the same way and would move together without thinking about it. Some people flirt with words. These two seem to connect through rhythm, gesture, and instinct before anything else. So when Ann-Margret finally opened up more fully in later years, the surprise was not that there had been something between them. The surprise was how long she protected it and how clearly she still viewed it not as gossip, but as one of the most real relationships of her life. Now it's time to hear from you. Do you think Elvis and Ann-Margret were simply caught up in the excitement of one unforgettable film, or did they share the kind of connection that stayed unfinished for the rest of their lives? Let us know in the comments section below.